The early 90s was a great time to be a comics fan. Comic sales were booming, and there was a whole host of animated series being based on some of the most popular Marvel Comics characters of the time. They were even beginning to establish what would become a shared animated universe, where various characters and their voice artists would appear in each other's shows. And these various animated series were not all created equally, there were different art styles and different approaches to each one. And of course, as a result, some were better than others. But thanks to the lucrative relationship between ToyBiz and Marvel, it meant that an awful lot of toys were soon to follow. And although we'd had Marvel toys in the past, this was the first time we saw a significant growth and a greater diversity in the lines to introduce more characters than ever before, and even delve into some of those more obscure characters who had never seen life in action figure form before. And one of my favourites was the Fantastic Four line. I thought this line was really colourful and fun, and actually introduced some of the more cosmic obscure characters that we'd never seen before in toy form. And they even expanded the line to include vehicles and oversized characters as well. And one of the things I love most of all is just the packaging. I thought it was really colourful and interesting, and particularly I just love that Fantastic Four logo that's holographic. That's absolutely brilliant. And it was also a line that took a few chances as well and did a few things that were a bit different. We can see with, say, the Silver Surfer figure that had that chrome paint, and there's the Invisible Woman who is made of a transparent plastic. But today I'm going to take a look back at one of my favourites, which was the Thing Skycycle. As you can see, the packaging is of course illustrated. I always talk about this, but I absolutely love this approach to toy packaging. I just think it's fantastic. It's really evocative. I think the imagery is really fun, and it just really sells the item to me. So here we can see the Thing obviously grabbing Doctor Doom there and firing off missiles, and yeah, this is a lot of fun. And as I mentioned previously, it does have that fantastic holographic Fantastic Four logo at the top there as well, which is brilliant. The reverse of the packaging shows the toy in detail, illustrating all the action points with an actual photo, which is great. But there's also a biopic at the top there to talk about what it is and how it's used, and I particularly like the comic book approach of having the image of the Thing up there, which is really cool. Meanwhile, on the right hand side of the packaging, we can see some of the other vehicles and figures in this line, including Galactus there, but also some of the figures in the Iron Man line. So again, we're seeing that crossover very early on and the marketing potential for that, and this is just really exciting as a kid seeing all this stuff, so I think it's great. When you take it out of its packaging, it is more or less already assembled. The arms of the cycle need to be slid into place, and of course we need to apply some of these stickers, which was very much is ToyBiz modus operandi back in the early 90s for their vehicles, is that they would add a lot of the detail and illustration through stickers and decals. But overall, this is a really screen accurate sculpt, and for what is meant to be a smaller vehicle, this is actually quite sizable, and it's quite impressive. Naturally, the design is very colourful, and it is moulded in the colour of the plastic that it should be. There's not an awful lot of stickers to add to this vehicle, but what is there is nice and offsets it quite well. And overall, it's quite a fun, friendly design. The two handles are actually rubber pieces that can rotate around, so when you're not using it, you can fold them up against the side of the vehicle so they're not protruding. But the vehicle does have a couple of action features. Not many, but it's got two main ones. The first one is the firing rocket launcher. You'll notice the launcher can sit either on the back of the vehicle or it can be raised so it can be angled and positioned. And the underneath reveals a bit of a cabinet where you can store the missile. Now the missile is loaded through the crosshairs, and although it is spring loaded, there is no catch to hold it in place or switch to release it, so you're relying on the pressure of your thumb to hold it in place before you release it. The other action feature that this vehicle has is that it has two claws that pop out of the front two pads. These are to act as hooks or grabbers so that we can grab other characters. So when we finally introduce our main character, which is the Thing who rides this cycle, we put him in place, he grabs hold of his handles there, and he's ready to go into action. As you can see, he fits perfectly into this vehicle. It is of course designed for this figure, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And when you're ready to catch another figure, all you need to do is push down on the pedals and the arms will swing into action. And to see how this works in real life, we're going to use our poor unfortunate Silver Surfer as the guinea pig. As you can see, there is a danger here that you're going to chip some of your figures, or maybe even break one of their arms, because this movement is very powerful. And I don't think it's particularly effective at gripping. As you notice, if we raise the vehicle up, then there's a good chance that the Silver Surfer is going to fall out of this grip. But before we conclude, I thought it'd be quite nice to actually have a look at this Thing figure. He's hands down my favourite figure from this time, from this 90s line, and I just think he's wonderful. I think he's a wonderful, unique mould. He's really chunky, he's very powerful, and he's very colourful as well, and I think he just looks fantastic. As with most 90s toys, he does of course have an action feature, so when you press side to side on his back there, his arms will move up and down. Although it kind of helps if you have his arms raised up in the first place to get some significant movement out of them. And for a size comparison, here he is standing next to this series as Mr. Fantastic. And you can see there are some early attempts here at scale. Obviously the Thing is a significantly different kind of mould. He's much broader, he's bigger in that sense, although he's not taller. But then I think that's perfectly appropriate for what we see on screen. And here he is again, sitting in the Skycycle. Overall, I think this was a really fantastic line of toys. I have very, very happy memories playing with these. I love that they've taken the effort to come up with something different in this line quite a lot. And I think it's really fun and evocative. And I think, you know, although the action features on this particular toy are maybe not effective, particularly in some cases, I still think the design is really colourful. I think it's very fun. It is very screen accurate. And overall, this is a lot of fun. It certainly was for me as a kid, and even now looking back on it, I think it's fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, please do give it a like, and remember to subscribe as I'll be posting more videos soon.